Yosef HaSadiq represents this concept. Yosef HaSadiq represents that you're never alone, and therefore he never lost his faith. Why? Because he always knew Ki Atah Imadi. That's why when Moshe Rabbeinu blesses Yosef, he blesses him at the end of his life. In Parashat Zot Beracha. It's amazing beracha. People don't pay attention to it. He says to him, Yosef, you're called Rosh Yosef. Rosh Yosef, you're the top of the tribes. And what does he say? Urtzon shocheni seneh. Meumeged eres umnoah urtzon shocheni seneh. Strange. When he's blessing Yosef, he says, I bless you in the name of God. The God that appeared to me at the seneh. What is he mentioning to Yosef? The blessing of the seneh. Says the great rabbi called the Maharal from Prague. And I quote, he says, V'nir'eh Zecher davar zeh shenigla elav b'seneh. Moshe Rabbeinu remembered when God appeared to him at the burning bush. Shema'achar shenigla lo b'seneh al shem imo anuchi b'sara. God says, I'm with you, I'm with the Jewish people. En lecha ratzon yotem. There's no sign of love greater than that. And therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu says, I saw that God is with, and you lived that. You felt the love of God of the sinner. That's what made you carry through. How did you carry on these difficult times in Mitzrayim? Because you knew, you were not mehalech baderech yehidi. You did not walk alone. You understood it, and therefore you recognized Hashem was with you. Ladies, in our time, anti-Semitism is rampant all over. Every single day we're scared to turn on the news what's happening, even in this country, which was favorable for the Jewish people for many years. But things are changing. It's bound to change before Mashiach comes. But one cannot feel abandoned. If Hanina ben Hachinai, who was one of the martyrs, comes along and says it's part of the process. We are definitely now Balayla. We're entering moments of Laila, but we're at the end of the night. I'll tell you how I know. There's two parts of the night. The first part of the night is called Leil, Lamed Yud Lamed. The second part of the night is called Laila. It's different. There's Leil, and then there's Laila. It's two parts. Leil is the beginning from sunset until Hatzot, and then from Hatzot to the morning is Laila. We are clearly now by Laila. We're at the end of the night. At the end of the night, it gets darker. You have to know before the morning comes, it gets darker. It must get darker before it gets light. So Hani'ur Balayla, if you're up at night, we're up. We're the generation of Laila. We're here. We're alive. Hani'ur Balayla. However, if you think that you're alone, you're not. You have to think of Har Sinai every single day. And which part of Har Sinai? The Seneh. And you have to Hashem is with us. And anytime there's an act of anti-Semitism, Hashem is with us. He's hurting himself. He's in the bush with us. Anytime a Jew is beaten, Hashem is beaten. Kalani Mizra'i, Kalani Miroshi, like the Gemara says. God says, my head is hurting. My arm is hurting, Kiviyachor. Therefore, when you remember that, Kedaftanu Malkeinu, it reminds us, Hashem is close. And just like God is eternal, and no anti-Semitism can get rid of God, it cannot be consumed because God is there. And the Jewish people cannot be consumed. But we're getting beaten. It'll bring us to a salvation. But you can only recognize that if you're not mifaneh libo lebatala. If you turn away from the Torah and you don't use the Torah as your medicine, the Torah is samhayim. The Torah becomes a penicillin. The Torah becomes like an antidote. It becomes almost like a pain reliever. Then mitchayev b'nafsho. And that's what the Maharal comes along and says, why Yosef was blessed. And therefore, we say at the end of time, Kumi uri ki ba'orech, uchvod alayich, uchvod Hashem alayich izrach. At the time of darkness, we say, Kumi uri. It's time to bring the light. And the light is going to come soon. But in the interim, you have to hold on to the faith of Rabbi ben Achira. Because you have somebody that gave his life up for God. So not only did he teach us the importance of time, but he taught us the coping method. That a person is going to go through hardships and obstacles. Ni'or balayla. A person is awake at the night, at the darkest parts of the night, the second part of the night. But if he thinks that he's alone, because he doesn't study the emunah and the Torah, then mitchayev b'nafsho, then he's guilty, which means there is a coping mechanism. This is the coping. You come to shiur, you remind yourself, V'kiraftanu malkenu. And that's why that's in the Berach Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam Aftanu. Hashem, you love us. How do you know? Kiraftanu malkenu. Look what you did at the Sinai.